right now. All right, I think we are live. So let me introduce everybody to the Xbox 2 podcast. It is Halloween, October 31st, and I'm one of your hosts, Randall Thor 19, the man with the million. And of course, with me, as always, is the one and only Jez Corden of Windows Central. What's going on, buddy?
Hey man, how's it going? Happy Halloween and all that
Yeah.
spooky good stuff.
Happy Halloween to you. Happy Halloween to everybody in the chat. Aren't you usually one of those people that changes your Twitter username like every single time something goes? Are you spooky Jez on Twitter?
I'm undead Jez at the moment.
You're
I got
undead
bored of-
Jez. Okay.
I thought I'd rather be a zombie than a ghost. I decided.
I mean, fair enough. Central. You know what? I don't really change my name. It's just Randall Thor 19. Although I do enjoy Halloween quite a bit. Unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna get many trick-or-treaters here in Chicago, Jez. It is snowing, and it is cold outside. It's like 25 degrees. But you know what that means? That means all the candy upstairs, the Milky Ways, the Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, the Snickers, the Kit Kats, the Three Musketeers. You know, the stuff that I bought to give to the little kids so they can have a great day. Well, since they're not going to be here, and the candy doesn't want to go to waste, you know what that means, right?
You're gonna give it to me?
I mean, if you're only here, yeah, that would be the case. But I think I'm gonna have some candy later, since there will be nobody here to give it to.
You're gonna be sick if you eat all that candy.
I won't eat all the candy. I'm just gonna say I'll have some of the candy. So
you could donate it to a children's hospital.
Yeah, I guess I could. You're always trying
Ryan's
to make
like,
me do
"Damn
the
it, Jez,
you always
shut
make
up."
me try to do the good things. So, you know, let's get some shout outs. I see a bunch of people in chat. We got Obi-Wan, we got Boom, who I did his show on Monday. You guys should check out that great podcast. He has a great YouTube channel. Wilmy Hood, Opatachi, Bad Boy Live, Monkey Punch, Omega Red. I mean, there's a whole bunch of people in chat. And, you know, if you want to join our Discord, I do have a Discord. Just DM me or Jez, and we will send you a link. You don't have to. We want to keep it kind of smaller. You know, if you kind of screw up or mess around, we'll kick you out. But if you do want to join, you're more than welcome to. So DM me or Jez, and we will send you an invite. So, man, we got a lot of stuff to talk about today, Jez. We were kind of having, I wouldn't say a heated discussion last night, but we were talking about Death Stranding, because reviews for Death Stranding hit tomorrow.
They do it tomorrow.
Like tonight, I think it's 2:00 in the morning, Central Time, 3 Eastern, midnight Pacific, right? And everybody's waiting with bated breath. And me and Jazz had an interesting conversation, so we'll go over all that when we talk about how Death Stranding has abandoned the PlayStation exclusivity and is now coming to PC, right? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about...
Some people were really upset about that.
Yes, they are. Some people were incredibly upset about it, and they shouldn't have been, because people knew it was coming to PC when it was first announced. It wasn't news. It's just that people buried their heads in the sand like freaking ostriches. Ostrich? Is that right? Those are the ones that have buried their heads in the sand, Jez?
Yes.
Help me out here. Okay.
Ostriches. Wait, is that the
plural? Is that it's a plural form of ostrich, I think?
Ostrich eye. I don't know.
Yeah.
You think I'll be a professional writer or something, right?
You think you would be, yeah.
I don't think I've written over 1 million words for Windows Central. I don't think I've once written ostrich in a single article.
Well, next time in the next article you write, see if you can fit it in there somehow.
Yeah, the next article I write, I'm going to try and squeeze ostrich in there. So look out for that.
So definitely going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, why does games with gold suck? Because a lot of people did not like the additions to the games with gold for November. Also, there's a ability to upgrade to an Xbox Scarlett through Xbox All Access, which Microsoft just announced again. So we're going to be talking about that and a whole bunch more topics. I have a whole bunch here written down. So, while everybody gets in here and we're going to talk about games, if you do us a favor, share this out, whether it's on Twitter or Facebook or wherever you like to share stuff. We'd appreciate it. And hit that like button. Helps out the show quite a bit in the channel. And if you're new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And follow me and Jez on Twitter. Everything's in the description. So, Jez, I saw you talking highly about Wasteland 3.
Oh, yes.
So I want you to sell this on me, because In Exile was one of those studios that I hadn't really followed much. And
I can't sell you on it, man.
Okay, you can't sell it on me. Okay.
You have to be a fan. You have to be a fan of turn-based games.
Okay.
Like, if you're not a fan of turn-based games, this isn't going to change your life.
Okay.
It is for fans of classic CRPGs. It is for those fans. And if you are a fan of those sorts of games, it's kind of like a holy grail. It is so polished. Well, first of all, I need to quickly explain how I got a copy of this, because a lot of people were like, "Oh my god, how'd you get a copy?" They crowdfunded Wasteland 3 on Fig, which is a crowdfunding platform, and it's kind of like, it's a little bit different to Kickstarter, because you're an investor, and you're actually supposed to get a cut of the profits. So when Microsoft bought Wasteland 3, all the Fig backers got a bit of a dividend, so to speak. At least the people who backed it at that tier or whatever. I just backed it like at the minimum tier because I wanted access to the alpha, and I got access to the alpha. And so people who backed it at a certain tier got access to this alpha demo, which I believe was also at Gamescom this year. And it's really good, man. It's kind of like, it's very similar to Wasteland 2 in terms of gameplay. It's not action RPG. It's a turn-based CRPG. They call it computer RPG. Classic sort of isometric gameplay. You click around. You have strategic everything. So it's like you have to flank your enemies, and some of your squad mates are good at melee. Some of them are good at ranged attacks. There's like a VAT system where you can target body parts and all that sort of stuff. But it's all turn-based. Your choices matter in the dialogue. It's got an RPG story. It's got loot, equipment, and all that sort of stuff. But like, it's the same gameplay as Wasteland 2. But problem with Wasteland 2 Rand was that it was janky as hell. The animations were janky. The effects were janky. The gameplay was janky. The menus were awful. Absolutely awful. But like, all of those like quality of life things seem to be dialed up to AAA standards.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the menus are great now. The controls are much better. The graphics are much better. So I'm really excited. And this is like a pre-alpha demo before even Microsoft was involved. So I'm pretty excited. But honestly, if you're not a fan of those kind of games, it's not going to change your life. That's Wasteland 3. There's an hour-long gameplay session of it up on our YouTube channel, Windows Central Gaming YouTube channel. So if you want to check it out, go and have a look.
All right, well, that's good. Is there a set time, or do we know when it's coming out? I know it's supposed to be 2020, right? Sometime in 2020?
It's spring 2020 for PlayStation, for PC, Linux, Mac, and Xbox. And it's day one in Game Pass for PC and Xbox. So,
okay.
Yeah, you can get it on the cheap if you don't want to pay full whack for it.
Well, speaking of getting something that cheap, I actually used Xbox Game Pass the last couple days.
Oh, really? To play what?
I played After Party.
Oh, that was on Game Pass?
Yeah, that was on Game Pass day one. And I wanted to play it. Here's the thing. I know we talked about it last week. I finished Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I played through it twice now. Once regular difficulty, getting all the achievements, then again on veteran difficulty. I think it's the best single player campaign for a Call of Duty game this generation, right? If you're just talking about the Xbox One gen, it's the best one. It's really intense. It's got great gunplay. Obviously, the game looks stellar on the new engine. I really enjoyed it. It's incredibly short. You can run through the whole game in 5 hours. I recommend anybody who enjoys that type of game to play it. So I had a choice after that, Jez. I was like, okay, I think it was like Monday or Sunday night when I finished. And I'm like, I can either start the Outer Worlds or I can wait for After Party. So I decided to wait and put Outer Worlds in the back burner for now and start up After Party. And After Party...
Why do you hate games?
I like Fallout games. I'm just not like... I don't love Fallout games. But the thing is, I loved Oxenfree. So I wanted to play Night School's newest game. So I started up After Party. And it's very similar to Oxenfree. Very heavy on the dialogue, which is great. Incredible voice acting, which is superb, right? The problem with After Party is I don't like the hell setting. I think it kind of drags the game down. Like, the story of what you're trying to do, like, you're in hell, and you don't know why you're in hell. You're just in hell. And, like, the whole point of the game is to try to outdrink or outparty Satan to come back to life. Which, honestly, isn't that interesting. Especially when you compare it to what was going on in Oxenfree, where there was this supernatural mystery of, like, beings trying to break through in our dimension and stuff. So,
Spoilers?
Well, no, I mean, that happens kind of right away. I mean, you'd have to play the game. I'm kind of just being vague about it. But I like After Party, but I don't love it yet. And I'm like 3 or 4 hours in. I didn't get to play it last night because I was a guest on Wilmy Hood's Gaming Beyond the Box podcast. So I didn't get a chance to play it. It's just one of those things where it's just missing that special something to keep me interested in wanting to continue on. Where like Oxenfree had the mystery, like this game, it's just missing that extra little bit of oomph. Like, everything else about it, it's great. Like, yeah, the voice acting, the dialogue, which you need to be awesome in a game that is literally about dialogue. But another thing I noticed lately, I don't know about you guys, but it definitely seems like the Xbox One X, for whatever reason, isn't getting the best versions of games. Like, Call of Duty on the X had issues. Drop frames all the time. Screen tearing everywhere, right? Even though it was a great game. Still had performance issues on the X. After Party has pretty bad performance issues on the X. And I mean, like, not when... since the game is kind of one of those side-scrolling experiences, sometimes when you're walking and the camera pans out to zoom to the other side, and it saves, the frame rate absolutely tanks. And it crawls. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, here we are in 2019, and I'm playing an indie game, and this game has pretty bad performance issues in spots, which to me is just kind of unacceptable. It doesn't really ruin the experience, but it does happen quite often. At least it doesn't really happen during dialogue, but like when you're moving around and like the frame rate drops to like 0 for a couple seconds, you're just like, man, what is going on? I know we're coming to the end of the generation, but it's I don't know, like it's one of those things that kind of bothers me. But that's what I've been playing.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
Are you using an external hard drive?
Yes, I have everything on my external. That game, After Party in particular, I have on my SSD.
See, I mean, this is completely off topic, but, well, I suppose it's not really, but I've found that games running off my external on my X have issues. Like, I was able to fix all of my issues with Call of Duty by moving it to my internal drive. So I would say try that, because if you're having issues, it might be a bug with external hard drives. I'm sort of investigating.
Well, I am.
But every time I've had issues with an X version of a game, it was because it was on my external.
Well, I mean, Digital Foundry ran the stuff, and the X was dropping frames. It was running like 55 frames for Call of Duty, which is kind of what it was running for me. I didn't remember that whole thing about the Call of Duty is going to crash your console. That did not happen to me once, so I never had my console crash. But yeah, I have everything installed on an external, my 8 terabyte hub, and usually when I play a game, like if I'm currently playing it, I transfer it to my SSD because I bought an SSD that was recently on sale. So I got like a Samsung T5 1 terabyte SSD hooked up to my X. And SubZX in chat, he says he has the same performance issues on the internal as well for After Party. So I think it's just the way the game is.
Fair enough.
So yeah, that's what I've been playing. Hopefully I can finish After Party sometime soon, and then hop into Outer Worlds, because next week I think we have Death Stranding on Friday, potentially Need for Speed Heat the same day. I'm kind of fiending for a good racing game, considering there's no Forza. This is the first year, I think, since 2011, I want to say, that there's not a Forza game, right? Or maybe 2010, because Forza Horizon started in 2012. So that would mean 2010 was the last time there wasn't a Forza game at all. And because of that, it's like they don't really release a lot of racing games anymore, and Grid was very subpar. And I don't know, I look at Need for Speed Heat, and it's kind of interesting because I want to play an arcade racer, but then I remember the last two Need for Speeds, and I'm like, hold on, wait a minute, don't buy that game. That'd be $60 wasted.
Well, isn't Forza Horizon 4's live service doing it for you? I thought this is the whole point of Forza was that it was a service game and it got updates and all
that stuff doesn't do anything for me. The whole live service stuff doesn't do. I'm not the target demographic for a live service to keep you playing. I mean, you want to talk about a game that did keep me occupied for 800 hours that wasn't a live service? That's PUBG. But I stopped playing PUBG completely. Nobody wants to play it anymore because we got a whole bunch of games coming out. Nobody's really interested in going back for it. So I guess I'm just not that person. So have you been playing anything else besides the Wasteland demo, or anything else you wanna add?
I've just been slamming Call of Duty multiplayer. Trying to.
And what do you think of the multiplayer? Do you like it this go around? I know a lot of people are mixed on it.
I think people are fans of old school Call of Duty, probably like it more. I see a lot of people I saw this image macro going around on Twitter where people were like, "Oh, fix the camping and blah blah." But I kind of like the camping because that's what it used to be like. I'm playing mostly in Ground War 2, which is sort of like a pseudo Battlefield type experience. I just love it. I love the chaos. I love, blowing people up with claymores. I think it's hilarious. So I'm completely fine with the way it is, kind of. I mean, it does feel like that some of the weapons are just completely unbalanced. Like, people are already started gravitating towards specific guns and loadouts and stuff like that, but that's Call of Duty, isn't it? Like, the upgrades in the game actually matter, unlike Gears 5, where all the upgrades are cosmetic. So, it's what it is, man. It is what it is. I love it. But I haven't really been playing much else other than that. It's been a busy week. BlizzCon prep.
That's right. We got BlizzCon. Mikey Barr was just in chat. The real Mikey Barr, because I modded him to make sure it was really him. I think, said on Twitter that I think he starts tomorrow, or maybe Monday. Nice. But BlizzCon's this weekend. What do you expect out of BlizzCon, Jez? I know there's rumors floating around that there was a leak today about Diablo 4. There was an Overwatch 2 leak from a Blizzard store. What does Blizzard need to do for you to get all these people that were really pissed off about the whole Chinese thing, since you're a huge Blizzard fan?
It's not a case of what can they do with the games, because everyone knows the games are going to be good. I to put the China stuff to bed. I always said that I just wanted them to give Blitz his money back because he earned that money. But even though they did give his money back, the way they handled that whole situation just left a really sour taste. Like the way they denied it was anything to do with, capitulation and stuff like that. It really, really, really bugged me. So I don't know. I'm hoping that they'll address it in some way, but I doubt it. I think they'll probably want to try and turn the page and try and blitz people away with a huge spread of games, most of which seem to have leaked. So it is what it is. It's really funny, actually. I saw a post going around on Reddit. No idea if it's 100% real. It was something to the effect of, "Hi, I deleted my Blizzard account because of the Chinese censorship, but now I want to get it back. Does anyone know how to get the account back, preferably with all the skins intact? Thanks."
Can I get all my skins that I paid for back? And there's a rumor going around that Overwatch 1's going to go free to play, right?
Yeah, there's that. So, let's just go through all the rumors. So, first rumor is World of Warcraft Shadowlands, which is basically going to be Wrath of the Lich King 2. They kind of did the same thing last expansion before this one, which was sort of like the Burning Crusade 2 with the demons, and that was like the biggest expansion in years for Blizzard. So they're kind of doing the same thing with this one. The Lich King is back, new Lich King, going to be undead again, nostalgia and all that sort of stuff. So that could be interesting. Then we got Diablo 2 remastered. That's the other big rumor. Also, Diablo 4 is heavily rumored, and the rumor is that it's going to be gritty and bloody and gory like Diablo 2. It's going to be a big shout out to the long-time Diablo fans who, by and large, regard Diablo 2 as a perfect game and regard Diablo 3 as colorful and cartoony and accessible. And they don't want that. They want blood and guts, as they should. But that's the other rumor for Diablo 4. And then what else we got? We got Overwatch going free to play, and then Overwatch 2 being a PvE campaign to sort of tack onto it.
That'd be
so like the
interesting.
multiplayer goes free to play, yeah. So the multiplayer goes free, and then they're going to do like a story mode to sort of flesh out the characters and give more context to the world, which should be interesting. And then there's going to be bits and pieces for Heroes of the Storm, and I guess Warcraft 3 remastered, and Hearthstone, and probably nothing for StarCraft.
Probably nothing. Let me ask you this: is it going to be streamed anywhere, like on Twitch, on Mixer? Is it just like a media event?
Because like you can buy a BlizzCon ticket, which lets you watch it, but I don't know if the ticket just gets you access to the after shows, or whether they're going to stream the keynote to everyone, or whether you have to pay. So like I can't remember what it's called, the BlizzCon Pass or something. But you can get one of those if you want to watch it. But I think like Twitch streamers are going to restream it anyway, so I think you'll probably be able to watch it somewhere.
I think so too.
I mean, people in chat will correct me if I'm wrong. Like it probably is going to be streamed somewhere, but as far as I'm aware, you have to pay for it. But we'll be covering all the news on Windows Central anyway, so
I honestly can't wait to see Diablo 4. I really enjoyed Diablo 3. I'm kind of interested in seeing people's reaction to an Overwatch 2, because Overwatch is one of those games like Rainbow Six Siege, where it doesn't really need a sequel, where it just needs new characters and new maps updated, so it's kind of weird that they would go to a sequel. I
think like it's not going to be... I don't know if it's going to be a sequel or just like a separate mode. Not necessarily called Overwatch 2, like Overwatch Story Mode or something. And then the multiplayer goes free. I don't know. There's a number of ways that could go. Like I personally think Overwatch is the best shooter of the whole generation. Personally, I've put more hours into that than Battlefield or Call of Duty this gen. But haven't played it since the China stuff. But I don't know.
All right. See what happens. You know, since today's Halloween, Jez, and I didn't put this in the topic show notes, I wanted to get your opinion, or what are your favorite scary games on Halloween? Like the ones that scared you the most? Because I do have a couple in my mind, and I thought it would be kind of cool. But like, what game scared you, Jez? Like, if you think back and stuff, like something that if you want to be like, you know how like Microsoft does those giving like streams every single year, and they get Stein to play something super sick, scary. And he like shits his pants every single time. What scares you? Scary game, Jez. What do you got?
A lot of the games I found scary were games that I don't know if I'd still find scary today. They're sort of games I played as a little kid. I remember getting Silent Hill 2 for Christmas. Like it was my Christmas present, which is a really strange present for Christmas, I guess. But my parents didn't know better. They just thought games were for kids. Games are for kids. Anime are cartoons, so anime is for kids. So I used to play all the 18 rated games, and I used to watch all the 18 rated anime as a kid. But Silent Hill 2, man, is terrifying to me as a kid, and Silent Hill 3 as well, also terrifying as a kid. Like I couldn't play, and Silent Hill 1 actually, but for some reason less so. I don't know why. Like even as a little kid, I got over my fear of Silent Hill 1 fairly easily for some reason. But Silent Hill 2 was just a little bit too much. I did complete it, but I played it with the sound off, around listening to music or something. Like it's just the music, man. Like the composer's name is Akira Yamaoka, probably pronouncing that wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Legend. Absolute legend.
Absolute legend. Yep.
Modern games, I haven't really been super scared of any modern games. I've just sort of been like enjoying the atmosphere, I suppose. Like for atmosphere, like Resident Evil 7, I thought was tremendous. Like the creepy family, really disgusting boss fights. I'm not going to spoil them if you haven't played them, but my God, a couple of the boss fights in that game are absolutely vile. Um, what else? Resident Evil 2 was pretty cool too, nostalgia trip. But for art, The Evil Within, like, not super scary game, um, but like some of the bosses in that were just tremendous. And in The Evil Within 2, some of the sequences in the cutscenes and stuff were just really interesting and well done from an artistic perspective. So
Yeah,
I'd pick those ones.
I gotta say, for me, I remember Silent Hill 1 scared me quite a bit. Condemned was pretty spooky. Dead Space
really
1. Dead Space 1 was a great scare. Outlast 1, basically when you're in the dark in an insane asylum, that game can be pretty intense. I know a lot of people will say PT. You know, a lot of people in chat are giving their recommendations. Opatachi says was Alien Isolation. And there's definitely that sense with Alien Isolation. You combine it with that alien stalking you and the fact that you can only save at stations, so you might lose your progress and stuff.
I can't believe I forgot this, but when you said Alien Isolation, I just remember the actual game I did find the scariest was Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. That was the game I actually found the scariest. Like, it actually gave me, you know, shaking panic attack, you know, because the whole thing about Resident Evil 1 and 2 is that, like, zombies couldn't follow you through rooms except for, like, a couple of set-piece moments. However, in Resident Evil 3, Nemesis could chase you through anywhere.
Yes, he could.
And I was totally unprepared for it. Like in the modern Resident Evil 2 games with Mr. X, he can chase you through anywhere. But like the first time that happened in Resident Evil was Resident Evil 3 on the PS1, and I was just completely unprepared for that, man.
Yeah, and, Resident Evil 2 also scared me pretty good. Like when you're walking in the police station and that dog, the licker, or the dog jumps through the window or whatever, that got me pretty good too.
Oh yeah. I think the dogs jumping through the windows, that was Resident Evil 1, I think.
Was it 1? It was 1 or 2.
Actually, I think it happens in 2 as well. But if you're thinking of the interrogation room with that was the liquor bursting through the interrogation room mirror. That was crazy. Yeah, that got me good. Like Resident Evil 2 is really good for jump scares, but like with Resident Evil 3, with like the music change when Nemesis was stalking you, and like even in the save rooms, you didn't feel safe because the music had changed. That was really good. I hope they do Resident Evil 3 as a remake, like they did with Resident Evil 2. That'd be excellent. But like, there's loads of other little games like Parasite Eve 2 on the PS1 was really spooky. Dino Crisis 1 was really good as well. I really hope they give that another look over one day. There's loads of like other smaller games like that weren't really scary but just had a really nice atmosphere, like Soul Reaver and Nightmare Creatures, and it feels like horror games are a bit of a lost art, you know?
Definitely. I mean, they for sure. They used to be a big genre. Now you have like Slenderman and Five Nights at Freddy's or whatever. It doesn't really seem like
the team are putting out some good ones.
Doesn't really seem like there's a lot of great horror games. And you know what? Like before we get into the main discussions, just thinking about, like, we both mentioned Silent Hill, right? Silent Hill 1, Silent Hill 2, and of course, like, the franchise kind of became crap after Silent Hill 3, for the most part, right? I think we'd all agree.
Yeah. Silent Hill 4 had a cool premise, but it just weren't executed that well.
I never got a chance to play PT, right? Because I didn't have a PlayStation at the time, so I never get to experience it because it was removed and all that stuff,
actually,
right?
Rand, you will get to experience it.
I will.
Because some crazy PC modders have remade the whole game identically to the original.
Okay,
yes,
maybe I'll get to play it then. But what I was gonna say was, as much as I'm looking forward to Death Stranding, which there is a part of me that wants to play it because of how unique it looks and how different it is. But man, oh man, oh man, would I've loved to have seen a Kojima-led Norman Reedus starring Silent Hills game.
Oh
Because
god.
you
Yeah.
remember how that was teased in the PT demo, and they had Norman Reedus, and it was Silent Hills. And because Silent Hill is one of my favorite franchises. Like when Silent Hill 1 and 2, like Silent Hill
I didn't
2 is
know that.
one of the best games with one of the best twists. It's like, and the franchise just kind of fell off. But like, if a Kojima involved
Konami
and Norman
killed
Reedus there and Konami doing it, like I was so excited for a Silent Hills game from them, and then it was taken away from us like that, Jez. I still am kind of a little bit bitter about that.
Me too. Like Konami just face planted the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's such a shame. But it is what it is.
Well, Axel says, I'm surprised Rand hasn't mentioned Alan Wake. I actually didn't think Alan Wake was that scary, to be honest with you. I know it had some horror elements,
It's more
but
thriller, isn't it?
yeah. But we do have a super chat I need to shout out. Spider-Man. He said Ubisoft is working on two new AAA games. Splinter Cell ? That is actually a topic we will be talking about shortly. So yes, Ubisoft is going to be releasing 2 new AAA games next year. So that is definitely a topic we will be getting to really shortly here. So, Jez, what do you want to talk about first? You want to hit this Games of Gold stuff?
Sure, man.
All right.
Let's
so
go.
let me find out what are the Games of Gold this month. Because gotta make sure I get it right. Xbox Games of Gold, November 2019.
Final Station.
This seemed like the straw that broke the camel's back. I saw Xbox put out their video for this, and it had like 2,000 likes and 5,000 dislikes, and it's just like, oh man, like people don't like this. So you get Sherlock Holmes: The Devil's Daughter, right? Which, by the way, was also in Game Pass for quite some time. Final Station, which is a half decent indie game. An OG Xbox Jedi Starfighter Star Wars game, and Joyride Turbo. Not exactly the best lineup for games with gold. And then, of course, you combine that with Sony offering Neo, as well as Outlast 2, and it makes it look even worse. So, Jez, I saw you respond to a couple people basically saying that maybe Microsoft should just get rid of games with gold. Like, what's going on? Do you think all the money is being diverted to Game Pass and trying to acquire content for that, and they're just like, who cares about games with gold at this point? Should we even care about games with gold? I mean, I know we pay for this. These games aren't free, people. You actually do pay for it with your subscription. Like, what's going on, Jez?
There is definitely some kind of like weird overlap, isn't there? Like if like at a point there's going to become, even if that point isn't reached now, there's going to be a point where it's sort of like there's an overlap between the amount of people subscribed to Game Pass and the amount of people actually downloading the games out of Games of Gold. I haven't downloaded a game from Games of Gold for months personally, even though like we do like technically have the license to do so during that month, but like if you don't download them, you don't get to keep them. But I haven't just the games have been so bad, or I already own them to the point where it's just like I haven't even bothered downloading them. But the people were pretty divided on this. I put out a tweet saying, a poll saying should they invest the money they're investing in Games with Gold into Game Pass and get more quality games for Game Pass, or should they keep it around and stuff for people who use it? It does seem like people were pretty divided on it. Most people did say they should invest more in Game Pass, which says to me that like a lot of the sort of more hardcore audience, maybe they're subscribed to Game Pass, so it's in their interest, right? But a lot of people aren't subscribed to Game Pass and they're just subscribed to Gold, so for them it'd be a loss, right?
Mm-hmm.
It'd be a loss of this of what they're getting. But at the point where the games are like this sort of not bad but bland, or we already own them and stuff like that, is it really worth it still? Just because it's just making them look bad, really, isn't it, in a way?
Yeah, I mean, like Sherlock Holmes, that's the thing. It's like, especially in comparison, like maybe standalone, maybe if Sony was doing the same thing, people would just be like, it is what it is. PlayStation, PS Plus, and Games of Gold games are just trash, right? And it's like, whatever. we still got Game Pass, but like Sony's really kind of stepped it up in the ballpark with PlayStation Plus recently, and they did a nice synergy. I don't know if you noticed, but they announced the release date for Neo 2, and the same day they basically say, by the way, you can play Neo for free. Like I thought that was incredibly smart. And then you're like, oh, what's Xbox game? It's like an OG Xbox game, a game that was in Game Pass, a game that Mixer gave away for free, Final Station, for like watching one of the E3s. And I just sit there and I'm like, man, either Microsoft really needs to just... It's like one of those things where it's like, do you think they even care? Which I know they do, because I know they take feedback on that stuff. It's just like, maybe everything, like they need the better games for Game Pass because it's more of a...
better margins.
Yeah, and
I mean,
it's...
theoretically, Games with Gold is just a straight loss. No one subscribes to Xbox Live Gold for Games with Gold, do they? It's like they just basically bought it in so they could say, "Oh, us too," because Sony was doing it.
Yeah.
But like at this point, it's kind of like all it's doing is losing the money. Like there's literally no point in having it.
Yeah, it's a pretty bad month. We'll see, what the future brings. But I saw that and I'm like, yikes! Like real yikes! Like that is not a good lineup whatsoever. But moving on from that, because obviously I don't want to talk about Games of Gold for long. I just want to mention, it's like, Jesus, like Microsoft, you need to turn it around and actually offer some quality titles for people's money. Let's talk a little bit about, let's talk about Spider-Man Super Chat here, Ubisoft. They basically announced 5 next-gen titles. 5 games that are coming for the PS5 and Project Scarlett. Basically games that are going to be cross-gen. So once again, cross-gen confirmed, which I want to talk a little bit of you about, Jazz. I want to get your idea how cross-gen is going to work this time around. So basically, we talked last week how Ghost Recon Breakpoint was such a disaster for Ubisoft, they had to delay all their games. They're like, we got to delay everything. We got to figure out what the hell's going on. Why is nobody buying Division 2? Why is nobody buying Breakpoint? What the heck's going on? It's like, Ubisoft, maybe it's because all your games are basically the same now. You put all the mechanics in the same in each game, and they all feel samey. But I digress. So they basically said, and came out during their investor call, that Rainbow Six Siege Quarantine, Watch Dogs Legion, which, by the way, Watch Dogs Legion was supposed to come out in March. Now we don't even know when it's coming out. Now we know it's coming out between sometime April of 2020 and March of 2021. Gods and Monsters, which I think was supposed to come out in February. We don't know when it's coming out now. And 2 unannounced AAA games. So, and they said all 5 of those games will be next-gen, cross-gen games. And the CEO of Ubisoft said that they will take advantage of higher frame rates, essentially higher resolutions, faster loading, and any other goodies that Scarlett and PS5 actually possess, without really going into specifics. Jez, how do you think cross-gen stuff's gonna work with the systems both being backwards compatible PS5 and Xbox Scarlett? Presumably, you buy, say, Watch Dogs Legion comes out in September before the new consoles, and you buy it on the Xbox One, and say you transition to Xbox Scarlett. Will that game go with you and will give you, with an update, just now you're playing the Scarlett version? Or
I think it's going to be exactly the same as what we've got now between the S and the X.
Okay.
Because it's the same. It's going to be the same development environment. At least I can't speak for PlayStation because I don't know anything about it. But for Xbox, it's going to be the same development environment. It's just going to be another sort of a tier of the Xbox development environment that developers can target. So there can be like, we'll have an X version of the game, we'll have an S version of the game, we'll have an Xcloud version of the game, which uses the mobile stuff, and then we'll have a Scarlet version of the game, maybe even an Anaconda and a Lockhart version if the Lockhart rumors pan out. So it'll just be exactly the same. You'll download extra assets if you're playing on a Scarlet console, and it'll just work. Which is why I said a few months ago that there won't be any Scarlet exclusive games at launch. Mm-hmm. Every single game is going to be on the X and the S. And then there'll be like a Scarlet version with ray tracing, 4K 60 or more, and all that extra power unlocked because the game detects that it's on Scarlet. It's like people think that because like Sony moved from different architecture from the PS3 to PS4 and stuff like that. People think like, oh, there has to be like exclusive games for Scarlett. It doesn't work like that anymore. We've moved to like x86 architecture and more PC-like development environments, where like you can make a game that'll run on Windows XP and Windows 10 with ray tracing if you want. You can run Minecraft on a potato. But you can also run it with ray tracing, shadows, and reflections if you want to. It's just that sort of, we move towards that sort of development cycle now. Things are different. There will be a cut-off point for games on Scarlett eventually, when most people have moved off a Xbox One S. I'm guessing the S version will be just gone or deprioritized. And it happened last gen too. Like a bunch of Call of Duty games still came out on the 360, and then was it Ghosts came out on the 360, right? And then like
Yes.
one of the next ones didn't.
Well,
So
there was a lot of games in the beginning that are cross-gen. It always happens. For the first couple years, they want to tap into each one of the user bases because not everybody's switched over yet. And then eventually at some point, it's like next-gen only. That's always the way it happens. My question was more like, do you see anybody actually trying to charge for a PS5 version instead of just offering a free update to the PS4 version to make it you know what I mean?
oh, you mean charging for the
Charging for the better version of the game. Like sure you can keep, like if you bought Watch Dogs Legion, and we're not gonna, you can play it back compat, you can play it PS4, PS5, but if you want like the creme de la creme, you're gonna have to pay us. And
No way.
I for a while there, I was thinking that would be, somebody would try that. Somebody would try that because video game companies are incredibly greedy, right? Incredibly greedy. However, the more I've talked to people, the more I've kind of sit back and I thought, it's like, I would probably imagine Sony and Microsoft would have a situation where, just like with the X and the Pro, they would say, you know what? You're not allowed to charge for that. Because they both have that, right? Where you can't charge for a Pro update or an X update. And I think that'd be very similar. So my fear of the greed taking over these companies and being like, hey, you want the best version of Cyberpunk? Or maybe Cyberpunk's not a good example because they're very pro-consumer. Or like
Dragon Age.
or Activision being like, hey, you want the best version of Call of Duty Modern Warfare? Then give us another $60 on PS5, right? And Scarlett. That's kind of...
I don't think I'll do that because they don't do it on PC. They can't get away with it on PC, which means they can't get away with it on console.
Do you think then, a lot of people say that, what about Sony remastering Last of Us 2? Because Last of Us 2 comes out in May. Eventually, I would imagine it's obviously going to be playable on PS5 with back compat. Do you think they'll do what they've done this gen, where they charge you for the remaster, or do you think it'll be an update? Because I'm kind of thinking it'll just be an update and they won't charge for it.
Nah, see, this is probably what they'll do, right? And this is actually what Sony and Microsoft recommend game devs do if they want to do this sort of charging for a new version, is they'll release it with all the DLC and call it the complete edition or something. Like that's how they can get around that. But I don't know. Like some devs just won't do it because they think it's cheesy or lame or whatever. But others might do it.
Well, like I said, what if Microsoft and Sony just say you can't? Sorry, but you can't.
That's definitely possible. I mean, that'd be great if they did do that. But I don't know. I don't know if they will. I don't think they'll charge extra for those upgrades personally.
Zim says, wait, Rand, do you think Game Pass will eventually not work on Xbox One X? Eventually? I mean, what are we talking about? 8 years from now? I mean, at some point, I think Microsoft would stop supporting the Xbox One S and the X at some point. 10 years from now?
I mean, at some point, but like, if people are still paying, I don't see why they'd shut it off. You know, we actually like had an interesting idea. Like, what if they bought Xcloud to 360? There's a lot of people still on the 360.
Yeah.
A lot of people. So could you imagine Microsoft trying to monetize Xbox 360 users? They could probably do it.
And
I mean, for a lot of... don't see why not.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, It would be like one of those like long time in the future things. But yeah, I mean, if there's still a sizable portion of 360 players, why not put XCloud on the 360? I don't see the issue with that. But moving on from that, Jez, let's talk about Death Stranding, shall we? The big topic. So me and you had an interesting conversation last night. Because reviews are coming out at midnight Pacific. So it's going to be very interesting. If it gets amazing reviews, 90 plus, I'm sure the PlayStation Nation will be incredibly happy. No, I'm hoping the game gets great reviews too, because I want to play a great game. I haven't pre-ordered the game yet, but then again, I don't really pre-order games until the day before because I don't really see the point. I just need it to be installed before, the day before the day of, so I can play it at launch. But man, a lot of people are like hanging their hats on this game, and I'm not so sure that it's gonna. This is the thing. I'm not sure where Death Stranding is gonna land. Like, I was pretty confident where Spider-Man was gonna land, and where Days Gone was gonna land, and where God of War was gonna land. Right? Talking to people that I knew that were playing those games, like very confident. I talked to 4 or 5 people who had early copies that were playing it, and they're like, "Yo." And they were right. And I talked to 4 or 5 people playing Death Stranding, and I get 4 or 5 different responses from each. It's not like a very... Like with God of War, I talked to 5 people, and everyone's like, yo, this is like the best game, right? Or I talked to Days Gone, and somebody would be like, it has issues, and it's boring, but it's good later, right? Everybody had the same thing. Spider-Man, it's like, oh, it's really good, but it's not like that good, right? So Death Stranding, I talking to some of the people I know that are playing it, and man, I get responses from it's incredibly boring, it's ridiculously pretentious, to this is the greatest game ever made. And it's such a wide chasm of opinions between these people that I'm just like, if this is like the thought between all the reviewers tomorrow, and there's this kind of chasm of, if you get this game, it's the greatest game ever, or if you plow through the first 15 hours and it's this incredible experience, versus, yo, this game is weird and it's boring as shit and the first 15 hours suck donkey balls. Like, you're going to see some reviews that are going to reflect that. And I don't know where to predict, because part of me is just like, it's Kojima, it's PlayStation, that's a 90 plus Metacritic score. Easy. But then a part of me is like, well, I don't know. What if and I'm like, maybe low 80s? But then it's like, no. And it's like, maybe mid 80s? I don't know, Jez. I'm incredibly conflicted from what I've heard. Help me out here. What do you think?
Well, I said to Colt on Twitter that I was expecting it to be 94. And that is purely on the basis of Kojima, pretty much. Kojima and PlayStation. That was purely where my 94 came from, because I haven't really watched the trailers, because Kojima said, if you trust me, don't watch the trailers. And I trust him. I trust the guy. I don't think he's pretentious. I think he's a genius, right? Kojima is... I'm team Kojima, okay? So, and for me, Metal Gear Solid 3 is one of the best games, if not the best game ever.
Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 are amazing, yes. And Snake Eater, I would probably say Snake Eater is better than Metal Gear Solid 2, 100%, yeah.
Yeah. So, at least the slightly updated version was, with the controllable camera. But anyway, I digress. I personally think that it's going to be above 90, but that's based on nothing. If it is like polarizing, I think it'd be purely on the basis that it's a bit weird. And I think, like, if you're willing to, I don't know, be open-minded, maybe you'll get more out of the weirdness than someone who isn't willing to be more open-minded. I don't know. But I'm looking forward to it anyway. I'm going to buy it.
You're going to buy it? You mean to tell me Windows Central couldn't get a review code for Death Stranding?
We don't review PlayStation games.
Yeah, but this is Kojima, though.
It's not running Windows, so we can't write about it.
Fair enough. It's definitely going to be an interesting night. I'm going to be watching Jack Ryan Season 2 on Amazon Prime. I loved Season 1. And then, of course, when 2 o'clock in the morning hits, I'll definitely be on my phone looking at the reviews because everyone's gonna have their review. There'll be you know, plenty of people who YouTubers, the big YouTubers like Skill Up. I'm sure they'll have their review, and IGN, the big sites, will all be ready to go, and there'll definitely be reactions on either side. So you know what? It's all going to be entertaining to me, either way. But the other big news, well, the big news was that Death Stranding was announced for PC.
Woo.
Yeah.
We did an article about this because people kept asking me all the time, is Death Stranding coming to Xbox and PC? Blah 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 blah. So we wrote the article for Google. Will Death Stranding come to PC? And we did the research. They said in a press release in a million years ago, yeah, it's coming to PC. You put that in an article, man. People were not happy that we suggested that it was coming to PC based on their own press release. And they were saying like, oh, it's not coming to PC because they're using the Decima engine now, and Sony's funding it. Like it was coming to PC before, but it isn't now. Like people were really upset that we wrote that it was coming to PC based on their own press release. But turns out it is coming to PC. Shocker.
I know, shocker, right? To me, that's not even really news. I mean, it was announced back in 2015 when they signed Kojima. It was like, but people didn't want to believe it for whatever reason. I don't know why they didn't want to believe it. Coming to PC 6 months later, or summer of 2020. Now there's been discussion of whether or not Sony actually owns the IP or if Kojima does. I'm pretty sure Sony owns the IP on this. But
really,
yeah, I'm pretty sure Sony owns the IP. I don't think Kojima does. I mean, someone would have to ask Sony on that, but
I wouldn't be so sure about that.
I wouldn't be so. I mean, sure, probably up for debate. Only ones that really know are Kojima and Sony. Like I said, all they need to do is ask, like, hey, who, Kojima, do you own the IP? And all he's got to say is like, well, no, Sony does. It's Sony's, but because, I mean, Sony's been publishing a lot of stuff on PC lately. Like, they let the Detroit Become Human and the Quantic Dream games all go to PC. And I know for a fact Sony owns those. Just because they put it on PC doesn't mean suddenly that they don't own the IP. And because I saw people saying that, like, 505, like, Sony must not own it because 505 Games is publishing it. But I'm like, you do realize also that THQ Nordic published ReCore on Steam. Does that mean that Microsoft suddenly doesn't own the ReCore IP just because somebody else published it on PC? You know what I mean?
I suppose it's like it's a case of it's an easy way to build a new franchise to put it on PC because that's where the huge user base is, and PC is very popular in Japan too, like as a primary way to game. So putting it on PC is just a no-brainer. If you don't put it on PC, you really are just leaving money on the table. Like, so I don't know why Sony just doesn't put all their games on PC. They make so much money. A lot of those PC gamers, they'll never buy a console. They'll never buy a PlayStation. They'll never buy an Xbox.
Well,
so you're leaving money on the table by not bringing it to PC.
Yeah, but Sony's business model currently is you got to buy the hardware to get into their ecosystem. I mean, they're branching out a little bit.
We'll see if that changes. We'll see if that changes.
I think it will change eventually down the road. I'm just saying currently, today, their business model is very much, we need to sell PlayStation 4s. Because we get people to buy PlayStation 4s, they invest in PlayStation Network, they buy digital games, they buy subscriptions, etc., etc., etc. I mean, you can see Sony starting to kind of change a little bit, like baby steps, adding the bigger games to PlayStation Now, cutting the price on that, allowing it to be on PC, publishing, and allowing some of their funded games to be on PC. But Sony's still very much in the mindset of, we need to sell this hardware. And, I mean, yeah, obviously, no doubt about it. Like, if you sold Death Stranding, or if you sold God of War 2 on...
It contradicts PlayStation Now, though. It totally contradicts that strategy. Like, they can't... If they're going to start putting their stuff on other devices, they need to go all in. They can't just be like, oh, we're going to put some of the things on PlayStation Now on some devices, and then not do it on other platforms, because it's just strange,
I think they're being very cautious with it for now because it's a big change. I mean, Microsoft was also kind of cautious with it right away when they did it too. You don't want to change the way people have known the way the console market exists overnight. Microsoft experienced that firsthand when they try to change game ownership and DRM stuff. Like people, you have to allow change to happen over the course of time, right? That's the way to go. So like suddenly Sony putting all their games on PC would be a shocker to the most ardent fans. Yeah, and some of their ardent fans are some of the most crazy and toxic and attack people nonstop and make hashtags like cancel Death Stranding, where you read and clearly some of the people are taking a piss, but clearly some of the people aren't. Some of the people are pissed that for whatever reason Death Stranding's on PC. Like legitimately pissed. How dare you, Sony? Or how dare you, Kojima? How dare you betray PlayStation didn't know it was going to be on... Like, give me a break here. But that's the thing. Like, things need to change over time. They're already kind of putting their big toe in there. And like I said, the gaming industry is changing rapidly. I mean, today, we have crossplay on perhaps the biggest franchise in the world, or one of the biggest games, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. At the beginning of this gen, do you think that was possible? No, nobody thought it was possible, and if you said it was going to happen, people would have laughed in your face. People would have laughed in your face if you said Microsoft was going to put their games on PC day and date with Steam, as well as the console versions. People would have laughed in your face. Like, things just change. Like, Google's got a new product for gaming, streaming, that comes out in 2 weeks. That could be, the harbinger of, like, new things to come. Gaming's changing all the time, so who knows 7 or 8 years from now how different it's going to look. I mean, even the games themselves have changed. I remember last gen when you had to pay, if you bought a game used, you had to pay an online pass. Remember those $10 online passes?
Online passes.
And then suddenly they realized, you know what? Maybe it's not a good idea to charge people to play an online pass. We need to get all these people online and playing it. Now every game shifted into a games as a service live service where they're selling you stuff and getting people. And they don't really care if you have a used copy. They just want you playing the game because they can sell you stuff there. They realize that, oh my God, there's more money to be made this way than the other way. So they just need to, everything's kind of short term, or like the changes are over the course of time. So 10 years from now, Sony might have their hardware. They might also have a PC launcher. They might have streaming, and everything's just everywhere. And that could potentially happen. But as of right now, Sony's clearly still doing their, you know what? You need to buy PlayStation hardware to play PlayStation games, but we're also going to venture into these other avenues where we might see success and also have to compete with our, competitors. So it's just one of those things. Like, I think more people getting to play a game is great. Death Stranding on PC. It is a 6-month wait. I know a lot of gamers, they're very impatient. You notice that, Jez? Like, very impatient. Like, if you're not playing the game day one, you kind of like miss out on the conversation that people are having, and it's like if you're not willing to shell out that $60, and I know come Friday next week, a lot of people on the fence of Death Stranding are going to want to be able to talk about it, want to be able to experience that with their friends, and they're going to be playing it. They're not going to be waiting for the 6-month PC thing. Some of the PC fans might, because they're going to want to play Death Stranding, at 4K, 120 frames or whatever, what have you, right? But I don't understand why people got upset. I'm an Xbox guy, and I've said this to day one. Like, I know people say I'm neutral. I'm not really neutral. I prefer Xbox. I think that's pretty apparent. I don't let my my fandom of Xbox, I guess, is the best way to say it, like, cloud my analytical judgment of the video game industry or anything that Sony does. So I look at it, I'm just like, this is a good thing for everybody. More people are going to play Death Stranding. It's great for Kojima, great for the studio. I mean, like, this is nothing but, like, A+ in my book.
Oh, is it?
No, because I got a notification that OBS Studio disconnected. But now it's reconnected. Let us know if the stream's still going good, because I just got a notification that OBS disconnected and reconnected. So hopefully it's back up.
Um, they're inviting press, which is which says to me they've got something to show, right? They don't invite press and influencers if they ain't got nothing to show, because it's a waste of money for them. So I'm expecting something on that basis alone, because they wouldn't fly all the press out there if there was nothing. Second of all, I've just been hearing positive things about it. I've just been hearing that like it's going to be bigger than last year's. It's going to be bigger than like your average inside Xbox and stuff like that. I'm not expecting it to be as big as E3. I'm just expecting like a lot of cool stuff for people who are, Xbox fans and have been waiting patiently for like, news and information. Should be a nice way to round out the year and stuff like that. That's sort of how I'm viewing it right now. I'm not gonna get hyped out of my mind and think, yep, it's gonna blow my mind and stuff like that. I'm just gonna sort of, have this sort of cautious optimism and ride the wave, as it were. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah. So, like, do you think we'll see? I guess the big question is it going to be an update on all the existing stuff we already know, or do you expect actually unannounced game announcements?
I'm expecting at least one new game announcement.
One
personally.
new game announced, and what?
That's based on nothing. I just sort of feel like they wouldn't be inviting all these people out if they weren't going to be doing something like that. I could be wrong, but I'm expecting. I'm also expecting at least one studio acquisition, I would think.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Are you going to be doing a prediction article, or is it just kind of one of those things where it's really not much to predict and it's not like E3 whatsoever?
I might do a what to expect sort of thing. But I honestly don't know, because I am actually going on vacation that week. So it might be a case of I'm not around to do that. But it's an interesting. I'm just interested. I'm not gonna get hyped out of my mind, but I think if you're an Xbox fan, you'll enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
more so than some of the other recent shows, shall we say?
Yeah. I'm expecting. I might make a video about my predictions or whatever. I'm expecting very similar to what Jez was talking about, like better than XO18, which, I mean, how could you be worse? You know what I like? XO18 was pretty boring. It was a Game Pass commercial. I mean, it had the Obsidian and Exile acquisitions, which, judging from the reception of Outer Worlds, seems like the Obsidian acquisition was just at the right time and exactly what Xbox needed, right?
It's like the opposite of what happened with Mass Effect.
Yeah,
like
right.
They completely lost the opportunity to get Mass Effect franchise and BioWare, but they made up for that by getting the Outer Worlds and Obsidian, which by and large looks like people love it. So that's redemption for screwing up the BioWare thing. But that's why I'm expecting a studio acquisition, because they did it last year, so they've set a precedent. We haven't had any news about studio acquisition for a while. I know they're still looking, and these are things that you can't keep secret for very long, because you have to let people know what's going on. Yeah. So I think if there is a studio acquisition in transit, we'll probably hear about it at XO.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it'll mostly be updates on their 2020 lineup, which they have got a lot of games coming out next year.
They do. It's weird, isn't it?
They do have a lot, but I'm still thinking, I'm not sure Halo's gonna be there. Even though they should. Like, honestly, XO should be a celebration of all things Xbox and a look forward to what Xbox Game Studios is doing. I don't like the fact that it's an Inside Xbox, because Inside Xbox has this very negative connotation attached to it. Like, it should be called something different. I'm not sure. So, like, when I look at it, I'm like, is Halo really going to be there? I already know that Microsoft didn't want to show Halo Infinite when they did back in 2018. And it's like, that studio's hunkering down to push out this game in a year. I know they still got to show multiplayer. Maybe this is the time to show a multiplayer trailer, maybe Arena or something.
Yeah, maybe.
But
But you want that at E3 though, maybe. Yeah.
well, that's the thing. I think they'll. Well, but then they'll probably get it. All right, if they save multiplayer for E3, people will just bitch because they're gonna want to see single player. It'll be the whole Gears of War thing all over again. Like people wanted to see the single player at E3. They didn't want to see Escape, right? And if you flash forward to E3 2020, people are going to want to see the campaign. How has Halo changed? That's what people want to see at E3. Well, at least the people that are very vocal on social media. They want to see, like, what's different about Halo? Is it open world? Like, what are the changes? They don't necessarily want to see, a run through of new maps on stage at Microsoft. That's something you could essentially do at an XO. You have the stage for yourself. You can show off the multiplayer. And if it's a year out, nobody's really going to be expecting, single player gameplay or whatever. Shinzo says that people are going to bitch no matter what Xbox does. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I don't think so at all.
They could announce Outer Worlds 2.
I mean, they could announce Fable, and I don't think anybody would bitch about that. In reality,
no, they wouldn't.
But yeah, thanks for.
I would like to see Fable there.
I would like to see it confirmed to be real, Jez, because we've been talking about this for seems like 2 years at this point. Is Fable real? Is Fable not real? I mean, we know Playground's working on a second studio, or their second studio's working on an open world RPG at this point. All rumors, all signs point to it being Fable. It's like the worst kept secret in the video game industry. It's like, I don't understand why you just don't come out and be like, yeah, it's real. Here's a minute trailer showing it off, and boom, like, there you go. People would be incredibly excited, and that would make XO 19 a success. To get people really looking forward to what Xbox Game Studios is doing for the future.
It's interesting, isn't it? How, this is the article I wrote today, actually. How Microsoft went from having no RPGs to basically replacing Bethesda BioWare with the rumored Fable game in Exile's Wasteland 3 and The Outer World, proven to be very popular.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently there's even more games that we don't even know about. What if the Initiative's game's an RPG? It's weird times, man.
That would be interesting if it was. What if the Initiative game is Banjo 3?
Please no.
Please no.
What a waste.
I know, right? Exactly. You imagine any of the Microsoft first part. No, I can't go into the Banjo slander. People would hate me. We won't talk about that.
I want a new Banjo game for the fans, but my God, I don't want the Initiative making it.
Sure, I would love for the fans to get a new Banjo game, but yeah, the Initiative. Can you imagine the Initiative gets on E3 and here's what we've been working on, and it's like Banjo's back? I'd sit there and I'd be like,
AAA post-apocalypse Banjo or something.
Oh man, people would kill themselves. People would definitely jump off ledges if that happened. Shout out to Cope901 for the super chat. He says, I really hope Sony brings their exclusives to PC. I'm tired of gaming on consoles just to play certain exclusives. I'm sure there's other people who feel exactly the same as you. But for right now, if you want to play Sony's games, you're either going to have to buy a PlayStation 5 or 4, or in the case of Death Stranding, you're going to have to wait. I think maybe that'll change years and years down the road, but maybe it won't. Who knows? So, Jez, we have Xbox All Access coming back.
Yes, we do.
And with an interesting upgrade path to Xbox Scarlett. Did you see this coming?
No, I didn't. I didn't know. First of all, I didn't even know they'd taken it away to start with. I thought it was just a thing that you could do. Like, I'm not too familiar with it because obviously I'm not even sure if we can get it in the UK. I think it might just be an American thing. But do you know what the specifications are of it? Because I didn't cover this.
Yeah. So basically, I know here in America, I think it's through the UK. In the UK, it's like through Game. In America here, it's through Amazon, which is much better because if you recall the last time they did this last year, they basically only offered this through Microsoft Store. whether it was online
Ah.
or specifically you had to go to the store. And there's not that many of them. But now it's available through Amazon. And if you qualify for it, essentially you can pick one of three systems. The all digital that you can get for $19.99 a month to your contract. You can get the regular Xbox One S for $22 a month. And then you could get the Xbox One X for $30 a month, right? So, but it's not just the console, it's also 24 months of Game Pass Ultimate as well. And they've done the math, and it's like it works out to be cheaper actually doing it this way than buying everything separately.
That's weird, because usually what phone companies do is it ends up being more expensive,
Yep.
but the idea is you can spread it out. Like that's how Apple does it.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's cheaper kind of makes me wonder if someone at Microsoft screwed up their math.
Nah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's like 0% APR. But the interesting thing was that if you do this by like December 1st and you pick the X and you make 12 payments on it, you can then upgrade to the Scarlett when it's released. Basically, take your X back to the store. You know, they give you a controller, they give you all the little plugs and stuff, and you basically sign a new contract, and you can walk out the door with the Scarlett. And obviously, you know, pay for the next 2 years. Now, is that a hint at the price being $500 or whatever? I'm not so sure, but that is the price I expect for Scarlett. Now, it's 18 months on the two other ones, and there's actually an upgrade fee if you go with the SAD edition. So I think you got to pay like $20 if you, you sign that and get a SAD, and it's like 18 months. You can then upgrade. The thing I'm kind of curious about was seems to be for new users, right? Like me and you, we ain't doing this. Well, you're gonna get a review copy, and you're gonna get the thing for free anyways. So.
What do you mean? You'll get it for free, man.
No, I ain't gonna get. I get nothing for free. Okay.
You get everything for free, man.
What are you talking about?
YouTube, Ferrari. And...
Hey, how many weeks ago did you get your Xbox Elite Series 2 controller?
But that's for work, man.
That's for work. I don't have
I take no pleasure in this. It's just solemn work, you know.
I don't have the Elite Series. I got my pre-order. I gotta spend $180 on that thing. I don't get it for free.
Macca got one, didn't they?
Macca is also an MVP, and Xbox Canada basically doesn't have any people, so it's like Macca gets everything. So I'm just saying. I'm really mad at. I'm really mad at James. Now, I thought me and James were close. I thought we were boys. I thought we were buddies. I know he listens to this podcast. James, where's my Elite Series 2, bruh? Did I do something wrong? Did I ruin our friendship? I'm kidding. So I don't really see, like, I can't imagine anybody in chat listening to this trying to be like, yo, I'm gonna upgrade to Scarlett. You know, most of us have an X, or we have a system already, so we're not gonna sign some contract to upgrade to Scarlett. I do think it's an interesting idea to do. Now, I'm more interested if this is going to be a separate thing once Scarlett comes out. That is more interesting to me. Like, if there's a way you could subsidize the initial system day one instead of, like, spending, buying an X or leasing the X for a year and then upgrading. Like, are people going to be able to log into Amazon in October of next year and finance their path to a Scarlett and get delivered day one and pay $30 a month with 2 years of Game Pass Ultimate? Do you think that's something that, obviously you can't announce it now because it would give away the price and they're not willing to talk about it. Hell, we don't even know the name of the system yet, for Christ's sake. But do you think that's an option at some point next year where you'll be able to do that and get the system for $30 a month with Ultimate through Amazon or through the respective places?
I would not say no. I think, like, Microsoft are gonna sort of. What I hope is Microsoft's gonna go really, really, really hard to try and make for all the lost ground, because this was the gen to not lose, really, going into next gen. You got Google coming in, you got all cloud streaming and stuff like that going to be a thing. This was the gen not to lose. So I hope Microsoft's going to be aggressive on trying to get more people in, because that's ultimately how you get more games in, you get more devs in, devs make more money, blah blah blah. Microsoft did announce this week that they paid out like, what was it, $2.1 billion to indie devs this gen or something.
Yeah,
That's a lot of money.
they played out a ton.
So it's not as if nobody's playing on Xbox, but there has been a lot of scenarios where we haven't got games on Xbox purely on the basis that there's no one in Japan who owns an Xbox, and we don't have Final Fantasy 14 Realm Reborn on Xbox, which is annoying. We don't have Persona on Xbox, which is annoying, even though those games aren't paid exclusives with PlayStation. The publishers just don't think they'll sell very well on Xbox because of the presence in Japan. So
We have a question from Chief Sledge. I'm gonna say Sledge, even though it's SLEDG. He says, Jez and Rand, what will they call Scarlett for release? Xbox 2? What do you think, Jez? This is kind of the big question, isn't it? Microsoft really screwed up the naming conventions. Xbox 360, Xbox One. You have PlayStation easily PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4. And I don't know if you saw, but they trademarked PS6, PS7, PS8, PS9, and PS10, right? Obviously to protect future interests.
it'd be funny if they called it like the Xbox 6 just to one up Sony.
The Xbox 6. Do you think...
Yeah,
all right, I guess the first question is, do you think they keep the Xbox One moniker?
Ooh, I don't think so. I think this would be a good time to have a new beginning.
So you think the one moniker is gone? It'll be Xbox something. Do you think it's just Xbox? Like just call it Xbox and that's it? Or do you think it'll be Xbox something?
It'll be Xbox something, I think. I don't think they're just going to call it Xbox. That'll be confusing as hell. I don't know. Could be called like... I don't know. I mean, they've already used the X. Microsoft likes X because they got the Surface Pro X now. They also like the word Neo. So it could be the Xbox Neo, like to go with the Surface Neo. I don't know. It could be anything, man.
How about Xbox 5?
Xbox 5.
Yeah.
Is it technically the fifth Xbox?
I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, is Windows 10 the 10th Windows?
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, they can skip numbers. Xbox V.
That'd be weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I did see Aaron Greenberg say they know what it is. I hope it's a good name because Xbox One wasn't, and you need to move away from that. If I was in charge of that, I don't even know what I would call it. Xbox Infinite? No, because that implies it's the last one, and I don't think it is. I don't know where you go from here. They screwed it up really bad with the naming. I guess call it Xbox 5. Sure, why not? PS5, Xbox 5, same thing. Whatever. Nobody's lesser or greater. It's the same exact thing. We got a bunch.
I just hope that they don't give it like a name that can be twisted into some sort of hilarious meme, like Xbox Sad and Xbox like that. Microsoft seems to be really good at screwing up names for things. That's like what they do for some reason.
DI Almighty Spartan God says Xbox All Elite. We got Technoblast calling it the Xbox One 360. We have Antonio calling it the Xbox Cloud 9. Jay Slayer calling it the Xbox 720. DT saying Xbox X2. Xbox V. Xbox Infinite. I mean, a lot of names here. Xbox Zen. Xbox Neo.
I don't think it can be the Xbox Infinite.
Xbox
I
Infinite.
kind of like Xbox because it goes with Surface Neo. They're launching at the time.
Zim says Xbox Infinite because it's launching with Halo Infinite. Dun dun dun.
Nah, I don't think you can call it Infinite.
Xbox Last. Xbox Elite. Yeah, there's some good names here. Xbox 8K. Yeah, for the 8K games, right? All right, so that's the all access information. Scarlett upgrade. I am curious. Is anybody in here interested in upgrading that way? If you are, make sure you put it in chat. Like, give me a 1 if you're interested in actually doing that upgrade path. For me, not so much. Jez, Microsoft also, we know that they're busy testing xCloud. You've tested it, right? You've got to use it. I know Matt Brown at Windows Central wrote an article about it. But they also just released console streaming, which is basically remote play for people in the alpha ring, of course. And guess what? I'm in the alpha ring, but I don't have an Android 6.0 device. So I can't use it. Like my LG G3 is Android 4.4, and I searched forever to try to update it to.
Why don't you just get rid of your iPhone?
I know, like why?
Join Samsung Master Race.
Why is Xbox not putting this on the superior phone platform? What is wrong with them? I mean, you say you want to reach 2 billion gamers. You ain't reaching 2 billion gamers without iOS. And if you do,
easily reach 2 billion gamers.
But you ain't reaching 2 billion paying gamers because Android users don't buy anything. That's a proven statistic. They're cheap and they don't buy nothing. So you actually want to make money, you need the iOS users.
Oh dear.
You know it's true.
Yeah, I guess.
So, have you gotten a chance to try this out yet? I know, and it's different because than xCloud. Like xCloud, you're connecting to a server in Microsoft's, Cloud Farm, and there's 4 games you can play, right?
I think this also connects to Microsoft servers in some way.
Oh, does it?
I think, yeah. Like, I don't know for sure, but Microsoft might have. It falls back on xCloud, I think, if there's latency issues. I think that Microsoft might have figured out a way of getting around the whole sort of, stuff. I don't know for sure, but it does seem to connect to Xbox servers, and I'll tell you why. It doesn't work with my VPN because it can tell that I'm in Germany. So for that reason, I haven't been able to try it myself. But Matt Brown and some friends and family have tested it, and they all said it's amazing. I've one of my friends tried it on playing multiplayer games at work, and she said it worked really, really well, which is incredible if you think about it. So I am intrigued to see how this ends up when I finally get my hands on it, but I haven't got my hands on it just yet. One of the cool things I've heard that it can do though is it doesn't turn your Xbox on when you're using it. Like some people wondered if that would be a thing. Because your Xbox, it needs to be in standby mode. Mm-hmm. So technically it is on because it's streaming the game or streaming the license or something. But the Xbox doesn't turn on your TV, and your Xbox will appear as though it's turned off if you're actually using it. So don't think that if you're at work and you want to stream a game that you're going to turn on your entertainment center at home by using this. It keeps your Xbox turned off, which is really cool. But yeah, I haven't tried it myself yet. Are you going to try it? Oh no, you can't because you haven't got an Android phone.
Well, no, I do have an Android phone. The problem is that I can't find a way to upgrade it to Android 6.0. So I don't think I have a 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi router either. But This is interesting because it's just like remote play that PlayStation has, but where xCloud currently in testing allows you to only play 4 games. This one allows you to play all your games. Any game that's installed, any game that you have Game Pass installed, you can play it. I kind of wanted to test it out just to see what it'd be like playing it on my phone. But, I'm rocking that Apple life. I'm rocking that iOS life.
Why don't you just get rid of it and trade it in for Note 9 or something?
I just got an iPhone last year. I'm not going to go get
Trade it in, man. Trade in.
Trade in what? This piece of crap phone that's going to get me $10?
Dude, iPhones don't lose their value that quick.
What, you want me to trade in my iPhone to get a Note? Yeah. Why? Why would I do that?
Or a OnePlus. Get a OnePlus 7T or something. Trade that in for a OnePlus phone.
What?
And then you'll be able to play xCloud, man.
Yeah, Come on. I want to. I'm not really interested in playing xCloud. I'm not interested in console streaming.
Why console streaming then?
Well, because why would I it's the console streaming stuff's going to be good for in your house, if somebody's using the TV or something, I just like if I'm here, like I want to play on the TV.
What about when you're at school or something?
I don't want to play games while I'm at school. I gotta worry about school.
Oh man.
So it's just one of those things. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'll buy a cheap Android tablet or something.
Well, the cheapest Android device you could probably get for it is the old last gen Pixel 3. I think you can get that for like $200 or something.
Yeah, I'm not spending $200 just to test it out. I was thinking maybe I could buy something for like I don't know, $20.
You tripping?
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe you can get a cheapo Android tablet, but like Android tablets don't even exist anymore, really.
Yeah, shout out to the friendly neighborhood Blue Shell for the super chat. He says, "I wish XCloud would let you play your Microsoft movies and TV content on your phone."
Yeah, that's the kicker. It's like if you try and load up a media app, it says you cannot use this while streaming. So like I was wondering if they'd got around having to license the mobile versions of the movies and TV, but apparently not. You know, once upon a time we did hear that Microsoft had an Android app ready for movies and TV, but they didn't want to pay for them licenses, man. They didn't want to pay for them licenses because you can't just use the same license to get those movies and TV shows onto mobile. Like it would reduce the margins, which are probably already pretty thin on that. So I don't think we're ever going to get film and TV on mobile. And that's the Windows team who handles that, not the Microsoft team, by the way.
Yeah. So, Jez, are you a fan of EA? Are you a fan of Battlefield?
I'm a fan of Battlefield and DICE, but, you know, we all know how most gamers feel about EA.
How do you personally feel today about EA? Are they worse than Blizzard right now? Are they...
You know what? I think, like, EA gets, like, a bad rap. I don't think EA sets out to be evil. The problem with EA is that it's a shareholder-led company, and the shareholders want very specific things from EA. And they're very controlled by their shareholders, which stands in contrast to Ubisoft, who can get away with delaying all of their games. They can get away with delaying all of their games because Ubisoft is still very sort of it's still a family company. Like they've still got like a lot of control over their business. EA is not like that. EA has like they're beholden to all these sort of evil banks and stuff like that who just want fast cash and stuff like that. And when they see EA's like mobile arm well with actions, and when they see Apex Legends doing really well, they say to EA, why are you bothering making these other games when you can just put out these mobile games which make way more money for the investment? You know, it's for them that's what makes sense. And the people at EA, they have to sort of figure out how to balance what the dumb shareholders want with what the core gaming audience wants, and at the end of the day, everyone ends up mad. So with EA, it's sort of like they're stuck between a rock and a hard place, and like, what can they do about it?
Yeah.
They can't piss off the shareholders because that's who owns them, and it is what it is. But so personally, I'm indifferent towards EA. I just sort of take what I can get because I don't really think EA is in a position where they can provide me with the games that I want. Like Dragon Age 4 is apparently not coming until 2022,
I saw
which
that.
is insane. Like, so I personally don't think that game's ever going to come out. I don't believe it'll come out. I think BioWare will be dead before the game comes out. They've lost so many high-profile staff. Apparently, morale of that studio is like tanked, and I can't see that. I just honestly cannot see a world where that game releases in a way that I would want it. So I'll just take where I can get there. My only hopes for EA basically nowadays are Respawn saving everyone, and DICE, Battlefield, Battlefront, and you know, I don't give a damn about their sports games. So that's kind of how I see EA. They're the people who make Battlefield, Battlefront, and Respawn. who hopefully will give us Titanfall 3 one day. Why do you ask? Why do you ask?
Well, because they said in their investors call that the next Battlefield game would not arrive until 2021. So no Battlefield game next year. That Apex Legends is now their priority, and that they have no clue when the Titanfall 3 is going to come out, if it comes out at all, which is very sad to me. I'm personally okay with Battlefield not coming until 2021.
I'm guessing that's to, beef up the engine and, do some new stuff to it, refresh
I would imagine also go back to Modern Warfare. I think people have had enough of... I think people are like, oh, we don't want Modern Warfare, Future Warfare, bring us back to the old times. And then they went back to the old times, and people are like, yeah, enough of this. We want Modern Warfare.
They gave us too much of the old times, man. Like, Battlefield 1 was incredible. Like, I absolutely adored Battlefield 1, but then Battlefield 2 was kind of like... Battlefield 5 was kind of like, hang on, didn't we just have this? Didn't we just have this?
Mm-hmm.
I know it's a different war and everything, but it's not that different.
Shout out to the Ozman for the super chat. He says, "Stay frosty, lads." So because obviously Battlefield 5, huge disappointment for EA. They just released the Pacific update for the game. I think Wake Island's coming. It is a shame because
Battlefield 5 isn't bad. It's not bad.
It's not bad, but I thought it was a little bit undercooked. Not a lot of time given to the game, and clearly the marketing really, like the whole marketing lead up kind of destroyed it. But now with Call of Duty going back to Modern Warfare, I don't know if you saw, biggest Call of Duty launch ever for this generation, right? Basically saying that people want modern, and Battlefield is at its best when it's modern. I don't know why they don't understand this. Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, Bad Company. People want Battlefield to be modern. Like, is that so hard to understand?
Yeah.
Like, dude, I spent hundreds and hundreds of hours on the Bad Company games. I spent hundreds of hours on Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. I think I played Battlefield 1 for 30 hours, and I played Battlefield 5 for 30 hours.
I like the grittiness that comes with the World War games, though. Like, I even like Call of Duty World at War. I think that's still my favorite Call of Duty overall. But, like, they're all, like, they're shying away from that era, and they don't even want to like have like real Nazis in the game and stuff, because everyone's it's all politically sensitive and all that sort of stuff, so they don't even really feel like real World War games anymore. And
I'm incredibly good. I'm incredibly good with it not coming out until it's ready, because they need...
Do you think it'll be Bad Company 3?
I want it to be. I really do. And maybe they do, because I think people's enthusiasm surrounding DICE, or their faith in DICE, has really taken a turn recently. Especially with the launch of how Star Wars Battlefront 2 started. I know it's supposed to be better now, but especially with Battlefield 5. I mean, when you're telling consumers, don't buy our game, you're dumb, or whatever the hell they were all saying. It's like, at that point, you need to like rethink everything you're doing, and you need to win back that crowd. So I'm good. Like, take all the time you need, make the next Battlefield game amazing. But also, like, Titanfall 3, I'm sorry, like, I like Apex Legends a lot. I haven't played it in a while, but I want Titanfall 3, and I'm kind of at the point now where I'm upset that the success of Apex Legends is preventing me from getting a Titanfall 3.
I when I'm playing Modern Warfare, and I really like it, I can't, especially in Ground War, where you've got like tanks and stuff. I just keep thinking, man, I would really want this to be Titanfall. I really want a wall run on that building. I really wish this tank was a mech. I just keep thinking that while I'm playing this. I love the fluid feel of Call of Duty versus Battlefield. I really like Battlefield in a different way, for its sort of slow-paced sort of tactical gameplay and the environmental destruction and stuff like that. But sometimes you just want to like run around really quick and blow people up in a sort of popcorn sort of way. And Call of Duty and Titanfall was great for that. Like, I hate Apex Legends, man. I hate Battle Royale games in general.
I know you do.
Like
I know
I,
you hate them so much, Jez.
I hate them. I absolutely hate battle royale game. The fact we're not getting Titanfall for it really makes me sad. Forever, I'll die mad about that.
Now, though, there was also a very interesting bit of news that has me a little excited. Ubisoft did, or not Ubisoft, EA rather, said that there are fan favorite remasters coming before March of 2021.
See, I thought the first thing I thought when they said that was, oh my god, Mass Effect.
Mass Effect
But
Trilogy,
apparently,
100%.
no, everyone's saying it's Crisis.
Well, why can't it be both?
You've gone
Why can't it
silent.
be both? Please.
Well,
Mass Effect Trilogy.
everyone's saying it's Crisis, man.
I mean, Crisis 1 or Crisis 2?
I don't know. Is Crisis even like? I've never played it.
I mean, Crisis 1's alright. It's no Mass
thought it was-
Effect. It's not even a. That's like, when I saw that, I'm like, alright, they're trying to turn around their image. They're like, yeah, we know Mass Effect Andromeda was poopy. We do have another gen coming. We didn't remaster Mass Effect. We didn't remaster the Dead Space trilogy, even though, like, you only need to play Dead Space 1 and Dead Space 2. It's like, maybe we can do that now. We can give you prop 4K 120 frames, considering those are 360 games. And I would die for those. Like, I would love to
Dead Space and
replay.
Mass Effect
Yeah,
Oh,
if you gave me Dead Space 1 and 2 again, and then let me play the Mass Effect trilogy again, DI says, y'all don't buy games. I buy both of those the second they were released.
Rand just spends some of his YouTube millions on it.
Yeah, my YouTube millions. Other people may not buy them. I would buy them. So that whole, like, you all don't buy games, that don't apply to me, sir. Don't even say that.
Man, sometimes I'm like sad because I don't really buy Xbox games anymore. I don't have to, and I admit it, it's kind of lame. I mean, it's awesome for me, but at the same time, it does feel like, man, I kind of want to support the devs at the same time. Like, it feels like I don't deserve it in a way, but like, I still have to buy them Nintendo games, and I'm buying 2 Nintendo games next month, Rand. Pokemon Sword
Yes.
for you, and
What?
Pokemon Shield for me. Yeah, remember the whole. Remember? I hadn't forgotten.
No, I'd forgotten it. Were we real? Like, do I have to, Jez?
Yes.
Do I have
We're
to
gonna
do
play
it right
Pokemon
away?
together.
Can I just wait? I got other games to play, like Star Wars Jedi, Fallen Order. You know, like.
Okay, maybe you can play. Maybe I'll let you play Star Wars first, but you ain't getting out of this.
I don't know. I think I'll get out of this one, Jez.
I don't think so. I don't think you
I
will.
think I will. I don't want to play
Uh,
Pokemon.
I don't think you will, man. I don't think you will.
See, I don't think I think people in chat, they don't even want me to play Pokemon. I'm pretty sure
I
everybody
don't
in
care,
there is
man.
like,
You doing it? It's for me. It's not for them. It's for me.
oh, it's for you. I need to play
It's for me.
Pokemon for Jez.
Yeah, I don't even care. You can play it. Do it for me, man.
So, if it's just Crisis that's being remastered, that's a disappointment. Not that Crisis 1's bad, because the multiplayer is pretty good, especially in Crisis 2, but I would be really disappointed if it was just Crisis. So to me, when they say fan favorite remasters, Crisis doesn't even enter into my brain. What enters in my brain is Mass Effect Trilogy, Dead Space. Those are fan favorites.
I could be wrong, but like that was the first thing I saw on like when I saw that hit Twitter, and there was a bunch of articles up about it. And one of the headlines was Crisis Remaster incoming, and I thought, oh, is that what the rumor is, that it's Crisis?
Hmm.
So I don't know. Wouldn't that be weird? That EA is so out of touch, it thinks Crisis is the game everyone wants to remaster. That'd be hilarious and sad at the same time.
People are saying, "Don't let him wiggle out, Jez." Oh, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna get my way out of playing Pokemon.
You ain't wiggling, man. Like the whole thing is like, if you don't do it, then you're robbing children's charity of money. That's how I'm gonna get you with guilt, baby. I can just hear Rand's expression through the microphone.
Yeah. Sin Vendetta with the super chat. He goes, Rand, play Pokemon with Jazz. God just
See,
thinking about
yeah,
playing
you have to do
Pokemon.
it, man. Have you never played? Have you never played one?
I've never
Ever in
played
your
a
life?
Pokemon ever. I've
Well,
remained.
why? Aren't you curious? Pokemon is the biggest media franchise of all time. Forget Marvel, forget Star Wars. It's Pokemon, baby. It's the biggest media franchise of all time.
Ugh, that's
And you've never
that's
experienced the
so
joy
sad.
of you've never experienced the joy of getting a Pokemon into a Pokeball and just being like, oh, that's my Pokemon. Giving it a name. And like in Pokemon Sword and Shield, you can get the Pokemon out in the camp and feed them curry and cook and go fishing and all that stuff. Doesn't
Ugh.
that sound exciting?
Mm.
Uh,
We also have another
uh,
super chat from XPlay 101. He says, "Any new dev purchases announcement in XO?" Yes, me and Jez are both expecting at least one. There could be more. And the friendly neighborhood blue shell says, "Here's super chat for Rand playing Pokemon. Don't do this to me. Don't do this to
Ah,
me."
come on, guys! Super chat for Ram playing Pokemon, and like it'll just add to the guilt if like you send him super chats and he doesn't play Pokemon. That'd be so mean, Rand. If people super chat you to play Pokemon and then you don't do it, you'd be like stealing their money.
I don't.
Randall thief. Randall thief.
Look, Pokemon, really, Jez?
Yes.
This can't happen.
It's the biggest media franchise of all time, and you've never even played it. So how do you know that you won't like it? You might love it. You might go on to become like Pokemon esports champion. Pokemon esports are a thing, by the way.
I've seen Pokemon gameplay. It looks so boring.
Oh my god, boring.
Like, who
How can you
wants to
think that?
play that game? Who wants to throw balls at animals and capture them and name them stuff? That's
It's a term. It's a turn-based. It's an RPG, man. You have to
ugh.
save. You have to save like the whole region from like evil gangsters and stuff.
I don't know. I'm just.
Oh my god, Call of Duty just crashed my Xbox.
Uh oh.
Oh no, just Call of Duty crashed. My Xbox didn't crash.
Yeah. Anyways,
Oh, it's doing so well.
we'll have to.
Oh, there goes my Xbox. Fully crashed with a white blinking light. Even though I was running off external, so I guess that didn't help. Did you turn off?
No, I
Yeah,
didn't.
my Xbox fully
But
Xbox fully overheated.
shout out to Sin Vendetta for the super chat. He goes, "Rand, play Pokemon with Jez, or I'm unsubscribing in protest." Jeez. And Jackman says, "When you guys talk more about XO19, we talked a little bit about it earlier, and we'll probably go more in depth about it next week, since it's the week before XO. But we already talked a little bit about it. But yeah, for me, fan favorite remasters, Mass Effect trilogy. Maybe not so much 1, because 1, the combat in 1 wasn't very good. I still would play it, but 2 and 3, well, besides the ending to 3, fantastic games.
The ending to
And
3 wasn't bad after the update.
I don't.
Did you play it after
No,
the
I didn't
update?
play it after the up. I mean, I played the DLC. I never. I didn't actually play the game through again. And Gamer by Choice with the super chat, and he says, "I'd rather watch grass grow than play Pokemon." Thank you. But the friendly blue shell with the computing super chat says, "To add to the guilt if you don't play Pokemon." Now I feel what the. You guys are making me feel bad now. Like, what the heck? I mean, I like Gamer by Choice's thing. I'd rather watch grass grow than play Pokemon. I would rather watch paint dry
Rand,
than play Pokemon.
Rand. I got good news for you. There are grass Pokemon. So you can watch grass grow while playing Pokemon. And there's also a Pokemon that has a paintbrush for a tail. So it's like watching paint dry. You can do both of those things while playing Pokemon. And it has fishing.
Okay. Zim said the OBS skipped. I did notice that it said it dropped some frames in OBS.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So.
That's OBS protesting you refusing to play.
Yeah. But anyways, moving on. Jez, I don't know if you saw, but both Nintendo and PlayStation announced some big news. Nintendo 42 million Switches. PlayStation 103 million consoles sold. 36 million PlayStation Plus users. 1 million PS Now users. Um,
Nice.
what do you think of it? I mean, PlayStation. I mean, is there anything really to add to that? Like PlayStation had an incredible gen. Nintendo's killing it with the Switch. You have anything to really add to that?
Nope. It's a testament to how well Nintendo nailed the Switch's form factor, because they've always had great games on the GameCube and the Wii U, but like they weren't the right consoles at the right time. Switch is the right console at the right time with the right games. They nailed everything, and I just hope they stick with that form factor going forward rather than do something wacky again with another console. I just hope they stick with that, because they've got something really cool there. Obviously PlayStation are an amazing gen. It's just all to play for, transitioning to the cloud stuff. And we've seen, like with Xbox Xcloud and Xbox console streaming, that Microsoft has a great product there. It's about whether it can get it out to enough people at scale for it to make a difference, really. So, I guess we'll see. We'll see.
And you like this Atrosso City Knights with the super chat, and he says for Pokemon Guilt Fund. More people. Jesus.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna start a pool on Twitter, a PayPal for charity. Rand plays Pokemon for charity, and I will match the donations up to, let's say, £300. If people donate £300, I will match everything up to £300. So we could potentially have like £600 for charity, which is about $700, $750, give or take. So if we can fund that for charity, and if Rand doesn't play Pokemon, he'll be like a really terrible person. Can you imagine how much of a terrible person Rand will be?
Look what you're doing. You're putting this all on my shoulders and saying I'm a terrible person if I don't play one of the worst games franchises ever.
It's not going to be the worst franchise ever, man. It's going to be amazing. It's going to sell huge amounts of shit, man.
Oh man. Ugh. When does this game come out? When does this Pokemon game come out?
15th off the top of my head.
Oh my god.
I'll let you complete Jedi first, okay? You can complete Jedi Fallen Order, but after that, you're mine. You are mine. And you have to kill the last boss. You don't have to catch them all, but you have to kill the last boss. And then we donate that money to charity. That's my plan. That's my plan, to guilt you into playing it.
We'll see. I think that'd be a good place to end the show proper. But we'll answer some questions before we get out of here on this Halloween. So make sure you drop your questions in chat. Hit the like button before you head on out if you're going trick-or-treating, or maybe if you're going to go play some video games or go get into some Twitter drama. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new. Make sure you follow me and Jez on Twitter so you know when the podcast goes live every single week. Description, it's all there, as well as the links to watch it on iTunes and Spotify and all the podcast apps. We put the show up usually a day or two after it's live on YouTube. We appreciate everybody who listens live here on YouTube and who decides to listen at their own convenience on the podcast app. So we appreciate it tremendously. So hit us up with some questions, and we will definitely do our best to answer them. And we have one from Girthquake. That's a pretty good name. Hype level for XO19. I guess hype level for XO19, 0 to 10. We did talk about that a little bit earlier. So what would you say your hype level is for XO? 0 to 10.
7. I'm at a 7.
A little 7 right now. That's not bad. Not that bad. What was it for E3? For comparison's sake.
An 8.
An 8. Okay. Cartoon Kid. Over under $80 for next gen Xbox PlayStation controllers. I would say over or under $80 for next gen Xbox PlayStation controllers.
Under.
I would say under. I think they'd probably keep them the same price. I mean, they're already what, 70? There's a couple different prices. Usually a limited edition controller from Xbox is 70, and a regular one's like, isn't the regular like black controller $50, Jez?
You can get them for $40 on Amazon.
Yeah.
I tell you something though, it's It's irrelevant because all Xbox One accessories will be compatible on Scarlett. So like, if you want to be really cheap, you can just get an old controller, you know. So I can't see them being $80 standard. No way.
Mm.
That'll be about the same, unless like Xbox has some sort of crazy revision or you know. But I don't think Xbox will have some sort of huge revision. They'll probably have a share button or something like that, based on user feedback. But I don't think they're going to be that much more expensive than they are now.
Jackman wants me to play Zelda. I mean, I do want to play Zelda. I do have Breath of the Wild. There's so many games, and sometimes I want to play it at some point, but I also need to finish Witcher 3 and stuff. And now Jez wants me to play Pokemon, so it's like I got all these games, and there are always new games coming out, and it's like it's very hard to get to it. But I promise, like I want to play Neo. Now that I know Neo 2's coming in March, I want to play through the original Neo. There's just too many games, man, and not enough time, honestly. Opachi says, hey, can I sign for a name of one of your Pokemon team members? Look, if we're really doing the Pokemon thing, then yeah, we could probably do that, for sure. Al Paul wants to know, Death Stranding meta, what is your pick? Jez, what's your meta pick for Death Stranding?
94.
90, that's pretty high. 94.
I'm going all in.
I'm going to say... I've been thinking all year the game's an easy 90 plus Metacritic. I have a feeling based on from what people I've talked to, and I think it's going to be split. I think it's going to be mixed. I'm going to say there's going to be enough negative reviews where it can't hit a 90, but it's still going to be high 80s. I'm going to say 87.
Interesting.
I think some of the reviews were, as Jez would say, they didn't get it. They weren't smart enough. They'll rate the game like a 7 or an 8, and that will drag down the score enough to get it into the high 80s. So like 87, 88 would be my prediction.
Fair enough.
What's up, UK Daz? Hope you're having a great day, buddy. Almighty Spartan God wants to know the ultimate question: tits or ass? Jez, tits or ass? What do you think?
Wait, in what context?
I would assume in a girl, your tits are an ass man. I guess.
I thought we were talking like dragons or something.
Oh, dragons? No.
I don't know. I've been playing too much Monster Hunter. I don't know.
You don't know? You don't have a preference?
I haven't really thought about it. No preference.
I've always been a tits man, but I obviously, like, a great ass is a great ass. Like, but I don't know. I've always kind of been a tits man. But, that's just me. Like, I know asses are more in vogue. Tits were a little bit more, in vogue. Yeah, I think asses are more in vogue now than, maybe the 90s. Like, the 90s was definitely like tits,
Kardashian effect, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Manuel Meza says, hey guys, question, are you excited for the new Elite Series 2 controller? I have it pre-ordered and cannot wait. Yes, although I'm not excited about paying $180 for it, James. Where's my controller? Jez gets one for free.
But Rand, I get one for free because it's my job, man.
Yeah, I know. Todd Shinstock wants to know, do you think if Xbox takes a $100 loss on each console, they could take the advantage over Sony? If they get that person on Game Pass, they could easily make that $100 back and more. So we're assuming that both consoles are relatively the same power level, and that PlayStation 5 would come in at $500 and the Xbox Scarlett would come in at $400. I mean, that would definitely, be like a best case scenario for Microsoft at that point. Could they eat? It would be an advantage. I don't know if it would be like this humongous advantage where everybody's switching. And yeah, they probably could make it up if they lock somebody into Game Pass for years. Because we have talked before about how basically Xbox Live Gold subsidizes the consoles, right, Jez?
Yes.
So,
I don't think they'll drop gold. By the way, Rand, I've got 2 pieces of news for you.
2 pieces of news. Okay, what is it?
First of all, My Chemical Romance has reformed and he's working on a new album.
Oh my God, really?
Yes.
Oh my
Second
God.
of all, someone has taken a photograph of BlizzCon outside the event, and there's a
Okay.
big sign, right, that says prohibited items, all items subject to search, electronics, desktop computers, laptops, storage devices, professional video and audio recording equipment, camera with permanent lenses longer than 6 inches, external flash hardware, blah 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 blah. And then a bunch of illegal control substances and all that sort of stuff. You may not record or stream gameplay from any computer or projection screen at BlizzCon. You are not allowed to record or stream non-esports stage content such as developer panels, live artist stages, costume events and talent contests, and so on and so forth. It's all strictly for prohibited. Any attendee found to have violated the prohibited items list may be removed from BlizzCon. They're not letting anyone stream or take photographs of BlizzCon this year after the whole Diablo Immortal thing from last year.
Interesting. But that doesn't
And I
necessarily
guess,
mean Blizzard's not streaming it themselves, though, right?
oh, Blizzard's streaming it, sure, but like in the Q&A panels, they're not taking live questions either. You have to submit your questions in advance, and then they'll answer them during the thing. But even then, they're not gonna like let anyone record it. So like, and also there's going to be like a sort of buffer where they can, if anyone does anything weird, like with the Hong Kong stuff, they can filter it out. They're
Yeah.
like, this is like very different BlizzCon this year.
Very different. Very,
job I
very
didn't go.
different. Justin Adams with the $2 super chat. He says to watch Rand suffer through Pokemon. Oh my God. Aaron 94 with the super chat. He says Pokemon Rand. Oh my, people want me to play Pokemon. I guess. I'm gonna have to suffer through that game.
I love this. I love
know you
that
do.
everyone's on my side.
I know you do.
You're gonna end up loving it. I bet you, man.
Silly
You're gonna end up loving
Goose.
it.
I mean, if I do end up loving it, I will obviously give my honest opinion on it. But Silly Goose wants to know, is Xbox going with built-in battery or like before AAA batteries for next gen? Now, I've actually thought about this too, Jez. The Elite Series 2 comes with an internal battery for the first time for Xbox, and
Which, by the way, is great.
Yeah,
It's
you said 50 hours or something, right?
like, I'm a believer. Like, I was always like, I'd rather have double A's because I can recharge multiple double A's at a time and all this sort of stuff. But the Elite controller with the battery charging dock is so convenient that I have been converted to a believer. It lasts for about 40 to 50 hours. Microsoft says 40 hours, but I got about 50 hours out of it without a headset plugged into it. Like, if you have a headset plugged into the 3.5mm jack, it's going to be less than that. But man, it's really impressed me, and it charges to full in about an hour. And I just leave that thing sitting in the cradle, and it charges up and stuff. And I've been told by people on the team manufacturing it that they put like a really high quality cell in there, so like it should last quite a long time.
So does this give us any insight on their next gen controllers? Do you think they'll move to an internal battery, or do you still think they'll be like, well, we're gonna give people choice, AA batteries, or you can buy rechargeable batteries or whatever? Do you think this is a sign in any way, shape, or form?
I honestly have no idea. I think like one of the good things about having an internal battery is that they can make the controller feel more balanced because they can choose a bit more where the weight spreads out and distributes, I guess. And I think that's one advantage the Sony controllers have, that yeah, even though the battery life sucks on the DualShock, the controller does feel more balanced without the double A's in there. I don't know. But I don't know. It could go either way.
I think they'll still use double A's, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't. But then I didn't think they'd use a built-in controller for the Elite Series 2. So, Showen wants to know: do you think Xbox took too big of a risk in giving up on this gen so early to focus on next gen?
I think it's a case of they had no choice. Microsoft, like, they didn't really get access to the funds they needed, the cash flow they needed to really take on Sony until, Phil was officially promoted and stuff like that. I think they were caught between a rock and a hard place where Microsoft was in this weird transitionary period at the corporate level, and Xbox got caught up in that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a case of Microsoft knew what it had to do to win, but it couldn't get access to the cash flow and the capital to do it. And now they do have access. It's sort of like they're playing catch up, but it is what it is.
Pretty much. I agree with everything that Jez just said. Manuel Meza says, also, would you see Xcloud to be deployed globally? I live in Costa Rica and I would like to try it out. I mean, eventually, obviously, the plan is to deploy Xcloud everywhere. Is just that they're currently testing it. When it will be deployed globally, Jez? Do you have any idea? Like a year from now? Do we think like this is a preview, like testing thing that's going to last a long time?
I think they've got. I think they've said they've got ambitions for like worldwide in the coming months, not years. So I think like in a year's time, way before a year's time, like maybe by the summer, this will have rolled out globally. I would hope every market where Xbox exists, XCloud will also exist. I think. So like if you can get Xbox Game Pass in your market, you'll also be able to get XCloud because they're going to be tied together. I think. But I think like you won't. I think you'll be surprised how little you actually have to wait. I don't think this is years away. I think this is months away at most.
When do you think they're gonna add more games? Because I've talked to people like Colt who are like, "Yo, we need more games in here to test. You can only play Gears and Halo and Killer Instinct for so long before you don't want to play them."
Yeah, I think it's like it's a case of them just trying to measure the latency right now, and like when they're happy focus testing around those specific games, I think they'll add more to it. But it's just you just gotta have to take it as is. They're harvesting data right now, you see, and making tweaks and stuff like that. And then once they're happy with that, they'll roll it out to more games, I guess.
Cartoon
Because the more games they add, the more variables they add. So
Cartoon Kid wants to know better launch lineup based on what we know: PS5 or Xbox, or Xbox Scarlett. I'm assuming. We don't really know much about the launch lineup. I mean, we'd assume same third-party games for the most part, right? The only game that we know for sure Xbox is going to have is Halo Infinite. So just based on what's currently been announced, Xbox, because it's Halo Infinite. I mean, nothing's been announced for PS5 yet. I mean, yeah, sure, we know Horizon Zero Dawn 2 is going to come at some point, and maybe even Ghost of Tsushima is a launch title, but they haven't said whether or not it is. So if you're just basing it on things that are what we know as in like facts of like what the launch lineup is, the only game that we know for sure is Halo Infinite, and we don't know any launch title for the PlayStation 5. So, that'll change obviously, but now it's Xbox just because there is one game announced for it. I know some people probably will take issue with that. Like what? Let's see. Any other questions? Charles Cheston Ho wants to know, would the Xbox Scarlett compete against the GTX 1080 Ti or what GPU?
That's hard to say.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not the tech dude, so I don't really know. I mean, we don't know anything about we don't know any of the real specs of even the PlayStation 5. I mean, Sony's talked about it, but all we know about the PlayStation 5 is that it's a Zen 2 CPU, 8 cores, 16 threads, and it has an SSD and it has a Navi GPU, but we don't know anything about, like the teraflops or anything like that, so hard to really say. I'm expecting, though, that the PlayStation 5 is going to be a massive leap, a ridiculous leap over the Pro, and that Scarlett's going to be a ridiculous leap over the X. So, Jackman wants to know, do you think we will get an overall redesign on Scarlett user interface, or will it be similar to the current one?
We're gonna get a redo. They're gonna do a new interface. I think one of the things that people expect of the transition between consoles is a new interface. And from what I've heard, Microsoft's going to be sort of dropping the convoluted multi, OS system in some ways. Like at the moment, the app layer sits separately from the game layer, and the OS can't use that many resources, which means that they're very restricted on how fast they can make it. Whereas like the next gen, they'll have more resources for the operating system, so they'll be able to make it better. So I would expect there to be a new operating system for next year. definitely.
I mean, I would expect it too, but I'm not so sure. Like, they're going through all this trouble, like, testing this dashboard since July. And I don't think it'll even get pushed out to people till next year at some point. And you're going to tell me then they're still going to do another user interface for Scarlett? A different one? So, I don't know, Jez. I'm not sure it's going to be that much different.
We'll see.
We'll see, yeah. Zim says Ubisoft just confirmed an investor card, Rainbow Six Siege for next gen, and 2 more unannounced games for 2020. Yeah, they got a lot of games coming, cross-gen games. Let's see. Showin says, I don't know if you remember, but I won your God of War giveaway. I do remember. I hope you enjoyed that game. Skyro wants to know, are you going to do an XO19 prediction video this year? Probably, although there really ain't much to predict. I might make a video about it, and I'll definitely cover the show. So, I mean, I'm going to be getting back into making regular videos here real soon. As, like, my bed is actually working, Jez. I actually sleep now, and it feels so good. So
that's excellent. Yeah. I have the opposite problem. My bed is a disaster, and I need a mattress, but also lazy.
Okay. Well, thank you guys. I think we're gonna end the show there. We appreciate everybody coming out here on a Halloween night. If you're listening to this later on iTunes or Spotify, we appreciate you as well. Make sure you follow me and Jez on Twitter, or hit the subscribe button on the channel so you know when the podcast goes live. Hit the like button. And me and Jez will see you. Well, okay. Are we going to do one next week, Jez? You said you're on vacation when XO's on, right?
It's next week's up in the air because I've got to pack and travel the next day. So okay. I'll let you know. There might be a chance that we don't do it next week, but we'll definitely do one the week after.
Right. So we're uncertain on next week. So stay tuned for that. And if not, then we will see you after XO probably to talk about everything that Microsoft announced. So later, guys, and have a good one. Keep it gaming.
Thank you, everybody.